Hi, everybody. My name is Erika. I'm with Dogwise, and I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about some books because we've had some amazing author interviews lately, and some of the comments that we've had are people asking which books to read next. So in some of our author interviews, we've recommended a few books, we've discussed a few books, but I wanted to take a minute to open our comment section if anyone has questions of, I have a dog with reactivity, which books would you recommend? Or I've read this book and now I'm looking for the next book to read. We want to be able to offer that opportunity for you. So I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of our authors first. So we just recently had Caroline Clark, who wrote this wonderful book, Fear and Anxiety in Dogs. We had an author interview with her yesterday. If you missed it, please check out our Facebook page. The recording is available there. This book is full of color photographs, a lot of really incredible pictures and wonderful information. As it was discussed, this book is definitely appropriate whether you are a professional or if you are just starting out, if you're just a dog guardian, or if you want to learn more about dog behavior, specifically aggression and how it might have its roots in fear or anxiety. This book also discusses the difference between fear, anxiety, phobias. It takes a little bit of information about separation anxiety. We talked about Milena De Martini's book, Separation Anxiety, Treatment and Protocols yesterday. And then we also had an author interview the other day with Tim Lewis, who wrote Biology of Dogs. This is a wonderful, easy to read book that takes you through the biological history of dogs and all of their systems and how it affects behavior as well. So this is a great resource. So if you have a question about what book you want to read, go ahead and drop a comment, or if you've read both books, we'd love to hear from you. We're going to go through a couple of the books that we talked about in our interviews in the last couple of interviews that we've done. So first book, we've also done an interview with this author. This is The Stress Factor in Dogs. It was written by Dr. Christina Spalding. Our interview with her when this book first came out is also available on our Facebook page if you want to check that out. The recording is available. This book takes a really deep dive into stress and how it affects dogs as they develop. There's a lot of resources in here. There's a ton of cited materials. So just to give you a little bit of perspective, all of these citations that are in here, there's pages and pages of research about stress in dogs and how it affects them developmentally and every day in their lives with us. There's also a wonderful section in this book. There's an appendix section that teaches you how to read scientific research so that you can make decisions for yourself about how to read scientific research. So this appendix right here, as I told Christina Spalding, is worth the price of admission when it comes to this book. So if you want to understand how to read scientific research, just understanding that reading this chapter in this book is going to give you a great understanding of that. So if you're interested in Stress Factor in Dogs, highly recommend it. It's available on Dogwise and on Amazon. We published this book last year. Brandy, so glad that you're joining us. You're reading Stress Factor in Dogs right now. It's an interesting read. It definitely is an interesting read. It can be a little bit harder to get into. Something that I love about Tim's book is that it feels like you're talking to a friend. It's an easy book to just dive into. This one takes science to another level, and it's really kind of requires some commitment to wanting to really dive deep into the science. But if you're interested, or if you have people who you might be talking with who say, can you show me the science behind resiliency in dogs and stress and how it affects them, then this is the book to read for that. We also yesterday talked about reactivity in dogs, aggression in dogs. And one of the things that Caroline mentioned was offering your animal enrichment opportunities, which brought up two books that Dogwise has published, Canine Enrichment for the Real World and the Companion Workbook. So both of these books are fantastic resources. There's a big difference, their size. So if you don't want to read a really big book and take a deep dive into canine enrichment, I highly recommend the workbook. It is this book light. So both of these books are really fantastic. A lot of people think that Canine Enrichment, these books are here to give you lots of activities and ideas about what you might want to do, stuffing Kongs or doing sniffy mats, but these books dive so much deeper than that. So both of these books go into the 14 categories of canine enrichment, and those include things like safety and security, which are different to dogs. We're talking about mental enrichment. We're talking about physical exercise, how important it is for our dogs to have mental exercise on walks, which might include sniffing and not just walking right next to you, and how training can help with that as well. So really amazing deep dive into this book. You might even see that I highlighted some sections in here. I'm always going back and rereading this book and taking notes in the margins. This is just a spectacular book. And it's so, as Brandy said, she's flipped through the book, and it's so much more than your traditional enrichment. So there's wonderful suggestions online for people to find enrichment ideas and different activities. But these books are really taking a deeper dive on what enrichment means. And what it does mean is we're meeting our dog's needs, all of our dog's needs. Here in the workbook, Allie and Emily, the authors, show you how you can make sure that you're meeting all of your dog's needs. So we show all the categories of enrichment, like I talked about before: health and hygiene, physical exercise, mental exercise, safety, security, independence, environment. Our veterinary care is in here. And then they show you how to see, are these needs being met in your dog? Is there room for growth? Is there room for improvement? And one of the things that that's talked about a lot in this book is that often when you have an undesirable behavior in your dog, if you find out which of the enrichment categories isn't being met, and you can increase the enrichment in that category, then the undesirable behavior goes away, which is fantastic. So their enrichment framework is in here. And my favorite part of this book is that at the very end of the book, we actually have provided blank worksheets for you. So in addition to the case studies, we've got blank worksheets for you to be able to fill out. And you could do this for your own dog, or if you're a pet professional, you're able to use this for the dogs in your care that you're working with. So I highly recommend this book. This is Canine Enrichment for the Real World, the workbook that has the worksheet. That's a little bit of a smaller read, a little bit easier to jump into if you're just getting started, and a bigger book that is a couple of hundred pages. Let's see, this book is 227 pages long. If that seems like a little bit too much of a commitment, highly recommend that you try the workbook. As we're also talking about books that provide enrichment, Dog's Fabulous Sense of Smell, which we published last year, does give you some sniffing opportunities for your dogs, ways to use their nose, including my favorite chapter, How to Find Your Mom's Keys. So I actually trained my dog Dash how to do this. It's come in handy several times. So being able to give your dog that mental activity using their fabulous sense of smell, there's step-by-step instructions in here for teaching your dog if you want to do competitive tracking, or if you're just interested in giving them a little more mental exercise, which will help some brain activity happening. So that's a wonderful book as well. We did have several questions yesterday about reactivity in dogs. So I wanted to point out a couple of books that we recommended. We talked about Bat 2.0. This is written by Grisha Stewart. It is quite thick, but it is also very, very complete. Lots of great illustrations in here, and wonderful way to understand how BAT works, which is the behavior adjustment training that Grisha Stewart has coined. And if you want to deep dive into how to work with reactive or aggressive dogs, or if you have a reactive dog and you want to teach them from growling, biting, and barking like crazy to relaxing, sniffing, exploring, and making friends, this is the book to read. So lots of illustrations, lots of pictures in here, step-by-step instructions that will improve your leash skills. So highly recommend BAT 2.0 for reactive dogs. We also have a book that was written by Patricia McConnell called Feisty Fido, Help for a Leash Reactive Dog. Again, a nice small bite-sized read that's going to give you practical things to start doing immediately on your walks that will help you with your dog. So if you're looking to jump in really quick, want to read about reactivity, Feisty Fido is the one that we would recommend. Also, we were talking yesterday in our interview with Caroline Clark about the Control Unleashed book series. So these are 3 books from Leslie McDevitt. Her first book is called Control Unleashed. She also has the Puppy Program and also Reactive to Relaxed. So all of these books are wonderful. The question that was asked yesterday was wanting to know more about Leslie McDevitt's pattern games. So these are available in these books. You can get all 3, which I highly recommend. But if you want to just start out, you can start with either Control Unleashed or Reactive to Relaxed. Is going to give you a lot of great pattern games to work on with your dog when you're out and about, get their brain focused on you and working with you instead of whatever they might be reacting to in their environment. The last thing that I wanted to bring up was body language. So again, body language and learning how to read dogs' body language is absolutely crucial. So we do have several books at Dogwise. Our best-selling book for years and years is On Talking Terms with Dogs. This book by Turid Ruges is going to show you calming signals. So different things that dogs do with each other, that dogs are really good at communicating and learning the dog body language that might be there to calm down a situation or diffuse a situation, appease a dog that's approaching them a little too rapidly or a little more enthusiastically than they would appreciate. So learning how to read our dogs' calming signals can be a really helpful tool as well. Several books that we have that go deep dive into canine body language. We have a photo illustrated handbook of canine behavior. Again, full color. There's color pictures in here. There's black and white pictures in here. A ton of information in here. This is a big book with very specific examples in it. And then we also have this book, Canine Body Language by Brenda Aloff, which also is full of pictures, great examples as well. If you're looking for a book for kids that teaches body language, Lily Chin's books, Doggy Language, that might not just be for kids, might be for any age. And then her newest illustrated book, What's Up, Pup, is a really wonderful way to introduce kids to dog body language so that they can start to see what dogs might be communicating with, as this page says, their muzzles, eyes, and rears. Another book that we do have at dogwise.com, which is available, but I don't have a physical copy here with me right now, is Dogs in Translation. So Dogs in Translation was released earlier this year. The price tag can be a little bit intimidating, but everyone who's bought this book has said it is worth every single penny. So just to start the book out, they talk about how changing the perspective of how you're looking at your dog might affect how you're interpreting their body language. So being able to be aware of that is very important. The greatest thing about this book is that it's full of color photos and just very split-second differences between the images. So you can see here on this page on the right where the dog has his nose a little bit lower down, and you can see just in between the split seconds that those pictures were taken that his nose raised a little bit. You can see his ears coming forward and what those body language differences might mean as you're interpreting those when you go through. I also really love that this book has lines written on the dog's bodies, so overlaid on the dog and the human so that you can really see the plane of the body and where the weight is shifting and how that might affect the dog that you have in front of you as well. So wonderful resource as well. And want to encourage anyone who has questions or wants to learn more about which books they should read next, let us know. We love having comments. We love having emails. Feel free to reach out to us on social media or send us an email if you have a question. And then I have one more bonus book for you. However, I will tell you right now that it was sold out on Dogwise the last time we checked, so you might not have heard of it yet. This book, Positive Training for Aggressive and Reactive Dogs. We know there's been a lot of conversation online recently about, can you train aggressive dogs with positive reinforcement training, and how do you do it? And if you want to know, this is the book that will help you out. So Positive Training for Aggressive and Reactive Dogs by Annie Phoenix. We highly recommend this book. It is, again, a full color guide. There is tons of information in here, and also a really great sections that are throughout the book that are excerpts from professionals, from different professionals in the field, from separation anxiety to working with a veterinary behaviorist. So you'll be able to see the Ask the Experts section in this book. So if you have questions about this book or you want to pre-order it, we encourage you to visit dogwise.com, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for joining us.